from wherever you are, and welcome to Let's Play Games. I'm John McFarland, Adult Services Librarian for National Public Libraries, and I hope you'll join me in learning or rediscovering some of the more common and uncommon games out there. Last time, we got into the basics of one of the most popular strategic collaborative games out there, Carcassonne. But, as promised from last episode, it's time to add some fun twists and turns from a river. Let's get stuck in. So, I wanted to return us to where we left off last time, where I showed you some completed features. So that way we can review the game before we add in a little more, because the box I have came with some expansions to it. So we can talk about that. There are a lot of expansions. We only have 2, but I can at least introduce the concept. So we have our cities, our roads, and our monasteries. What you're trying to do is place all of the tiles in a way that resolves them. Cities have to be connected with walls, and any completed city that is enclosed in is worth 2 points for each tile that it's on. So this little one was worth 4 points, but it connected and resolved. That player, which was yellow if I recall correctly, scored 4 points. Play will continue around with the roads being expanded, and this was black's first points by starting here, claiming this road, and then gets 1 point for each tile that it was on that doesn't connect to a village. So at the village, that's a terminating point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. From here, you had the cities potentially resolve also with these shields. Shields add an extra 2 points onto the total. So notice how many shields were on this big honkin' city. So it ended up being 36 points for both green and black to be able to have this pretty expansive area of town. Now, one of the benefits for placing a meeple on this space is, I believe it was over here, it wasn't part of a connected city yet, which meant that you could place the tile and try to see if it would connect later. It did. Because it did, it then created a situation where 2 were on the same feature. Both scored the points. Now, if green had laid claim here and then eventually connected, they would have had 2 compared to the 1, which meant that they would have scored all of the points. The black would have gotten nothing. Now, from here, we also had the monastery. The monastery is scored when it is completely surrounded. So let's look at some of the remaining tiles we had, see if we can find something that connects. Ah, here we are. So this would have been a connected complete city for green that was a couple tiles down the road. 2, 4, 6, 8. They get their meeple back, 48. And then black would get 9 points, moving them to, technically speaking, 60. Notice how this is laying flat. That means they've rounded the bend once. And you will continue scoring and scoring and scoring until you run out of tiles to place. Notice that even with a couple of plays here, it's gotten pretty crowded and pretty expansive. So, like I suggested last episode, make sure this is played on a larger table. But this time, we are going to add in some features of the game and a little expanded way to play and participate with the massive sprawl. So we've got a couple things going on. First, we have a nice little new starting point. Instead of it being, this one was the starting point, you could tell because of the black cover on the back. This one also has that, but this is a starting point. It has a couple things different. It's got the road, it's got a bridge, but it also has a river. And these river tiles actually function much like this, trying to make an interconnected space. Notice that this is a nice little monastery. The monastery is an endpoint, and that is basically the source of the river. There's another one that's right here. So you've got two potential ending points. In theory, you could have this happen, but you will add this in as a nice little added dynamic to potentially, as I had mentioned here about the yellow. So let's, for the sake of conversation of a moment, let's add it all up to here and say our game had proceeded relatively as normal. We're gonna, I'm sorry, ignore the road bridge. That actually would have basically closed off. Add this in for a second. That would have potentially completely enclosed in the yellow here. So yellow would have gotten 3 points for each connected city, which wouldn't have been worth much because this is a big honking city. It's not only worth so much. And by the way, you only get for incomplete features half credit. So the roads still get the 1 per, the cities only get 1 per. The monasteries themselves actually get 1 per with the included tile. So if there had only been, for example, 6, you still would have gotten 6 points. So it's not that bad. But what we're going to do is go over some of the expansion features and see how they field into this. So that way you can see this full and complete game. We're probably going to run out of table space, but let's have some excitement with it. So now that we've reviewed, let me take a step back because there is still so much more about this game. It's time I told you about meeples. So I need to tell you a little bit about the term here. You've heard me refer to meeple. Meeple is not the original designation for these small pieces of followers. In fact, in the original German, it was just known as followers. It wasn't until roughly around 2000, 2001, where you saw people popularize the term online, my people, a portmanteau, and became meeple. So with this, there's a couple things here. They can almost be like quasi-house rules. You do not have to play with this, but it can be an added element to the fun. Notice they are some tiles that add to the process, so you have a little bit more to work with. And some of them are slightly different from the other ones. Notice this has almost completely covered, so you can use it for a nice little corner, but a lot of it is fairly the same. So there are a couple symbols here. The sort of double meeple symbol, and it actually is pointing to like right here. So let's say, let me find this. Let's say you already have a meeple on this city. You can actually place a second meeple there. This is part of the strategy where you could actually double your points from a city. Remember earlier we had talked about the big city of 36 points? Well, it would have doubled, or realistically, it would have kept relatively the same, except it would have been 1 more than the black pieces had, meaning that they would have been out of the points and green would have gotten all of them. So there are some opportunities. Also, this one with little arrow, you can actually, let's say that there is a, do it like, find a tile that would really work well here. You can actually place a meeple on this tile. So you could move it around, or you could basically get a free point of addition onto it. There's also this one right here, which is an extra turn. When you play this and resolve it with a tile connecting like this, you actually get an extra turn where you can draw another piece, potentially lay claim to more than one spot. So you don't have to play with these rules if you don't want. I think for this particular occurrence, we won't, but I wanted to give you an overview of how these expansions worked. So we're going to do the same thing we did last time, which is combine everything together. And we're going to actually have to wash the pieces. Oh, one of the meeple here fell. And while we're doing that and stacking those up, I've got the source piece with the dark tile on the bottom, and I've got these river pieces. So what we're going to do is, before the game even starts, we are actually going to create our river space. This kind of adds in a little element of the game. And I'll point out this source. So that is going to be our starting point for the river. And I'll just do it crosswise so that way we can adequately see it. I also want to point out these larger pieces right here. Those are abbots. They are religious figures that can be placed on a monastery or can be placed on a garden. You'll see it over the course of us playing this game. There are these small gardens that are on some, not all, of these tiles. And they can actually be scored just like monasteries if they're completely surrounded. You can only have one of these used at a time, but it allows you to potentially add a couple points here and there to your scoring. We'll kind of shove this in the middle here since we'll be drawing from all different sorts of ones. Place it right over here. And I'll add in, we'll make it an even stack. So what you're going to do is you're going to place this as the source piece. We're going to throw this one in there. And we are going to wash these as well, try and make it a unique river combination. So each player will take turns. Over here, and there, and there. You still have to make a completed figure. So you're just placing it to bend however you like. Make sure it's still resolvable. We'll do that. 1, 2. That's going to be an interesting one to resolve. So this is the first little lake source. So this will be the ending point that could be here, or it could be here. So we're going to just keep everything as close to the camera view as we can. We've got here, and we're going to put that one off to the side because that'll be the ending point. Not too many more bends in the road, but they do exist. So we are going to do bop, bop, and ha. So notice here is a nice little starting point for some of the features already existing. Some of the potential scoring opportunities already there. It's almost like a little nice head start. So we'll continue on. We'll start as green again. And compared to last time, somehow drew this first. So let's see here. We will go here. Place our little green. And here's where I can actually point out there's one garden over here. You could place it there if you wanted to, your Abbot piece. So this will be yellow's turn. Now's where you start getting into some of the oddities of whether you want to try and create small cities, surround these tiles. You can do that, but instead, I'm just going to go ahead and take the 4 points here. Basically, take the meeple, plop it there, give yourself 4 points. Blue will have their turn next. What are they going to do? Also, kind of make it easy on themselves. If they really wanted to, they could do that here. They'll lay claim to that town. That'll be another 4 points. Now is where things start getting interesting. Where here is an unconnected road. So that'll be black. We'll move to, where do we want to go? We'll go there. You know, we're kind of limited in some of our options, and not every segment of tile will resolve here. That's part of the nature of this game, is sometimes it can be a little chaotic. Where is another? We'll say that they do here. That was green. So that is a terminus point. The bridge does not count as a terminus point, so that will probably come into play later. But they're just going to lay claim onto that road. We'll have to be yellow's turn. Can't do there. Could do there. Let's see. Could also do... So you notice some of the choices you end up getting over the course of this game in trying to resolve. And since this is a starting point that's actually fair game, so we'll move that here. And for blue, where do they want to go? Up? No. Oh, see, this is where sometimes you kind of get shoehorned into what you want to be able to draw. We'll do that. This will be red's turn. A monastery. Being able to lay claim to that will be nice. So they can actually go, technically speaking, like right here, if they really wanted to. Then, actually, we'll put the abbot there. So the abbot can be on the monastery or the garden when you place it. And that is going to be permanently claimed. We'll see if they can smooth it off. If you're a red, if I drew this as red, I would actually want to play it like this. So that way I could potentially get this closed off. I only need one little piece here, which is bound to happen at some point. But this is green, so we are going to keep on with here. Try and expand that road as much as possible. And yellow will get the 4 points for there. That's 8. Now, let's see, and this is blue. So what I'm going to do is, this is not a connected city yet. Put this here, try and get it resolved somehow. It can be potentially connected later, much like this is black. That resolves yellows. Actually, could I do this? Yes, I can. All right. Sometimes you have to really look at the board and see what pieces will resolve. So that's 4 there, but it can't do that actually because of the road connection. This is, for me, half the fun of this game is trying to figure out where you can actually put things. So actually, we'll go back to this like we did before. There's 4 points there. Almost closes this off. And notice I had mentioned that expansion, you could place a meeple there if you really wanted to, but since we're not doing that, it makes things easier. Back to red, that actually happened rather quickly. We'll do that. And red will lay claim to that road. Notice how we can still make some connections here and potentially block off what we need. And that's actually green again. So green's actually off to a really good start just from some lucky draws. So that is yellow. You're probably going to play this because now you're going to try and connect this city. I haven't seen anything that's going to really be great for farmers yet, but this kind of has some potential if it gets sealed off, which it may end up being. So let's see here. That was yellow. It'll be blue next. To here. And we'll do that to expand onto theirs. Move on to black. Connect there. Red. Road. Sometimes the road connection is one of the bigger things that you need here. So it's red. They're going to place a farmer here because all they need to score points. Notice at the edge of the river is here. Any road closure gets them 1 point per completed city, or sorry, 3 points per completed city. So that would be a guaranteed 3 points. They're just waiting for that tile to resolve. Once they do that, they'll actually also get points for the road. So they are trying to keep things going. Let's see, that was red, so this is green. What's green doing? Green will go like right there. There you go. Kind of connect it off. And actually we'll do it towards the top since we can knowingly expand later. And we'll move on to yellow. He's gonna want to do this. Could get interesting with this square right here with how it resolves. So we'll do that. And then blue. Let's see, what's blue doing over here? Blue can't do that. You can't play anything diagonal. So we'll do over here. Actually, we'll give them a nice little 4-point bump here. So notice how it keeps on expanding and expanding as to what territory you've got to deal with. So I'll take another step back and we'll kind of keep on playing with this in a moment, but there's still yet more I need to tell you about Carcassonne. We need to talk about the Abbot and why it became one of the first expansions of this game. The Catholic Church had a strong connection to this area. A basilica became an important part of one of these structures, as during this time period, a church was the congregational center of a large majority of the populace. As a matter of fact, the original basilica was blessed by Pope Urban II in the late 11th century. And there is actually a feast celebrated of Saint Nazarius, which is actually still celebrated to this day on July 28th. We're going to continue playing here, and as stuff comes about, we're going to see what things can end up looking like with the sheer amount of chaos that can ensue. And we're going to do... Where's a resolvable? That's the problem, is like you want a resolvable output. So actually, we'll do here. So that expands a little bit further out just to see what things can look like. And for yellow, what do they want to do? Forgot about green with the road there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that'll be the first points for green there, actually. And then blue. Can't do that. Blue can technically get away with that. They're going to try and create a big city there. We'll see whether they actually can. That can't resolve. But that can. So, in theory, you'd get the extra turn off of that. Remember, we're not doing the expansion. Notice I'm not playing super strategically, mostly because I want to show kind of the examples of how sprawled out this can get. As I mentioned before, there's only one city that's surrounded, so that's 3 points. And then the road, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And actually, correction, that's still going. Because actually that's a good stopping point for it, because they're right there. So it's actually only worth 4. But points are points. And sometimes having just a small amount can really make a difference here. So we move back on to green. We can actually score that to 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So all the way up to 22. They could have tried to expand further, but one of the things you'll eventually do is try and place meeples all over to give yourself more opportunities to score. So yes, you can have these big city combinations, but if that's your only point scoring opportunity, that's the only place you can realistically score anything. All right, so for yellow, that actually works out just fine. For blue, here's an interesting circumstance there. Notice we've got the element there. They would tie for this, but it doesn't resolve with the roads. Roads not resolving is sometimes the frustration point of this game. Let's see how can't resolve there. Where do they want to try? In theory, you could go just like that, actually. And then, yeah, if you're green, you really want to find a way to resolve that one, because that gets frustrating sometimes. Nope. And like I said before, as long as you can connect to a road completely, you are typically good to go in a lot of stretches of pathway. So you'll expand out here. Notice that I'm already running out of room on this side, and that'll inevitably happen a fair amount. So notice you've still got this. So once you start getting towards a complete set of city sprawl, notice just how much space is taken up here. And that's honestly, to me, part of the enjoyment of this is there's no city there, so that's actually resolvable. You'll hear me say resolvable a lot, actually. There's that. So notice how towards the end of this, I just simply ran out of available space to elongate my cities. Anything not complete is worth half of the points. So this is definitely a game where you absolutely experiment with what tile placements you want to do, how you want to interact with it, and take it piece by piece by piece. This, in a simple nutshell, sprawled out over a table, is Carcassonne. So the other expansion, the river. As I mentioned last episode, the Aude is a river that Carcassonne is the one single bend for. It's interesting because the Aude is only 150 miles long, but it became, during many time periods, an important inflection connection points, as the bend in the river was stiff enough to where you could look at both ingoing and outgoing traffic, and because of this, adequately control both sides. As this place was a frontier area, you wanted to see what was coming in versus what was coming from the out. This is part of the reason why, for a good couple of centuries, this frontier outpost held a strong position within early to mid-French history. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure also to check out some of our previous episodes through NPL Universe on our YouTube page. You can see a long series of other games that we've covered in the past. Also, National Public Libraries has a board game collection where you can check out games like this and many others. Be sure to check out our website, library.nashville.org, and search for board games. I'll see you next time.